Hello, hello, and welcome to the CTB Show. Today is the top of the month of November. The weather is, it's okay, I guess. It would be a lot weirder if we referred to them as infant carrots, wouldn't it be? Welcome to the show. My name is Evan the Mayor. That is Brian the Levy.
Baby carrots are definitely my second favorite babies to kill.
Right. That is Casey the Kasem.
Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street?
There you go. Casey, I'm enjoying the variety. If you would like to submit a catchphrase to the Casey catchphrase about 5,000, send them to the CTB Fam Zone Extreme on Facebook or on Twitter or wherever, really. All right, another week, another show for you. Oh, gosh, nothing going on this week. This show is going to drop on a Tuesday. We are recording on a Sunday, which means that this show will be airing on Election Day.
Listen to us while you stand in line.
Yeah, I will. Yes, very good point, Brian. I will say to you thusly that we're not going to make any fucking predictions. We're maybe going to discuss like what we're going to do on Election Day. So
I'll make a prediction.
Okay, great. We're going to get to that on the second half of the show. But in the meantime, as you listen to this today, we're going to announce what we're going to be doing while you're waiting in line to vote, if you're voting in person. And if you've already voted via ballot, drop in the box, good for you. Congrats. If you live in one of those states where those things are set on fire, I am sorry for your life. Top of the show plus gang. I know this is like the 5th week in a row that I've done this, but this stash thing, I can't stop. Do you want to?
Can't stop, won't stop.
I can't stop and I won't stop. Do you want to own stock in like Starbucks? Are you a basic bee who can't stop buying pumpkin spice lattes, PSLs at the Starbucks? Every time you swipe your stash card, you get 3% back in stock. Stock backs, not cash back. Stock back. In fucking Starbucks, baby. And I even made a short link for this thing. bit.ly bit.ly/CTB stash.
So question.
Yes.
What do you do? If you spend like $3.85, do you get 15 cents worth of stock?
Something like that, yes.
What is that, like 1/1000th of a percent?
Depends on the stock. But yeah, I mean, like every time I buy something, or in the instance of a Casey the Kasem who is supporting this show via his Amazon purchases, not only can he support this show via our Amazon link, but he can get stock in Amazon while he's buying all the baby diapers.
Is it ethical to have stock in Amazon?
No, none of it's ethical. It's all terrible.
Hey, what's ethical non-monogamy?
Ooh, good question. For another time, for another show. We'll get next.
Fair enough.
We can get one of our friends from that community on the show to explain.
Oh, good.
My understanding, it's total bullshit.
Ah.
Any other top of the show plugs? Does anybody else want to plug something?
I would like to plug something.
Yes, go for it.
I would like to plug worldwideweb.youtube.com/thecity-that-breeds.
Oh, very good.
And I think everybody should be watching, or at least commenting, if you only listen, on our YouTube videos.
Yes, Brian, I agree.
If Facebook has become a hellhole
Right.
that you want no part of, well, come join all the rational human beings over on YouTube.
In the YouTube comments?
Exactly.
In the YouTube, there is no saner place than a YouTube comment thread.
Well,
and I believe
our videos, I mean, hell, it hasn't, gotten enough attention to warrant a devolution into madness, a la like the Baltimore Sun Facebook page or something to that effect.
Correct. But either way, come join us on YouTube. Watch me smoke pot.
Right. Watch you smoke pot. The more you know. Oh, man, I wish I had that sound effect queued up. Damn it. Anyway, yeah, I was gonna note that with all of the election and all these things going on and our society continuing to fall apart ripped apart at the seams, not just our society, but basically the global society because of Facebook and to a lesser effect, Twitter. Just telling y'all, man, just walk away. Just you can put it down. It's fine. I know. Just go to the CTB Fam Zone Extreme. That's the only group on Facebook you need. Maybe some of the local community things, those are bad also. But in general, your timeline is poisoning you. Twitter, your timeline is poisoning you. I remember when Twitter used to be fun. It was like, oh, Baltimore Twitter is like, oh, it's all happening on Twitter now. And now it's just a fucking garbage fire 24/7. And every time I turn it on by accident, usually to share a link to a new episode of this show, I regret it almost immediately. And all I ever do on Twitter now is share photos of, like, you know, the cop car that had the number 69420. Are any of you guys, I mean, Brian, I know that you're fairly active on Facebook in terms of commenting on other people's threads, but like, are any of us active on these platforms at all? Like,
I deleted them off my phone, and I will re-add them if something notable happens and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. But otherwise, like, it just, for the most part, it just not on my phone.
I'm always scrolling on Facebook. I never comment on my own front page, my own page, because I don't do that anymore. All my Facebooking is done on the CTB Fam Zone Extreme, or like one other different Star Trek site. I use Twitter to communicate with like one podcast, with like one group of podcasters. Yeah. But I don't actually ever check Twitter. And I'm never scrolling Twitter.
No, I do think that's kind of how it should be. We should really roll it all back to just communicating with the things that we're kind of interested in and like.
Yeah, like I look at Challenge Twitter. I don't look at Bachelor Twitter.
No.
But then I don't need it. I got Bachelor Instagram for that. And
right.
and that's the platform that I like the most is Instagram.
Brian, can we very briefly touch upon this season of Bachelorette, since you and I are both caught up? I am caught up for the first time in many seasons.
It's amazing this year.
It's pretty nuts. Very nuts.
No, go for it.
I was going to say, like, the show is about to be broken. And, spoilers, who fucking cares? Because, like, they broadcast all this shit in the previews, but the contestant, Claire Crowley, is basically going to leave the show early because she's already found her boyfriend.
She leaves the show next week.
Yeah. By the end.
How far into the season is it?
Third episode. All the bachelors, the contestants, the men are all pissed off because this one guy is getting all the attention. And by the end of the next episode, we will have a new bachelorette. What's her name, Brian?
Tasha, and I'm going to get back to Tasha and Claire in a second. But Casey, she likes Dale so much. They went on a group date, right? And she runs away to like make out with him for like an hour. She pays no attention to the guys. And by the time she finally gives out like the final rose for this group date, she goes, when she says Dale's name, I lost it. I have seen Dumb and Dumber. I have seen 40-Year-Old Virgin. I have seen Blazing Saddles, and it was still the funniest thing I've ever seen on a screen in my life. Just like the dudes are just glaring at her. They're so angry. And this is earlier in the episode. Some guy was like screaming at her. Claire's amazing. I can't wait for Tasha. Look, here's the deal. I'm an ally. I respect women. People's brains are meant to be respected.
Oh.
If you have to say that, usually it's not true.
I'm not a racist, but
before I say what I'm about to say, but at the same time, bodies are objects.
Yeah.
And sometimes these objects are so fucking smoking hot as to be the stuff of myth, of legend. And the last 10 seconds,
they are to be admired.
With Tasha, body, they're objects to be admired, and I'd like to get to know you as a person. The last 10 seconds of this episode with Tasha popping out of the pool, a la Phoebe Cates.
Yeah.
I mean, there should be a generation of young boys who are just as obsessed with that scene as they are with the Phoebe Cates scene.
Yeah. if we didn't have instant access to the entire universe's worth of porn, that would be a moment that sticks with every 10-year-old boy's brain if they're able to watch The Bachelorette on a Tuesday evening on ABC.
And let me say about Claire is that she's a beautiful woman. Like, she is also like just smoking hot in ways that are of epic legend. But the cool part about both these girls is that they're women, I should say, is that they're both really cool. Like, I love listening. Like, Claire is bonkers nuts,
Right.
but she's so endearing when she's bonkers nuts. Like, she's fun to see that way. Tasha is super smart. I like all of her stuff with John Paul Jones, and Bachelor of Paradise.
I don't know word one about this person. So what season of the show is she on?
She comes from Colton's season.
Okay.
She was one of the final three, but then Cassie goes away and Colton has to do that fence jump that was on television all over the place. So Colton's like, oh, I quit the show, but I should tell these girls. Colton goes to break up with Tasha, and he spends the whole time crying, and she's just like, they're there. Like, she had to comfort the dude while the dude was dumping her.
Oh man, the ultimate.
And she was so good about it. Like, she was like, I understand that this is probably the bullshit that women have to deal with constantly, but it was so good to see, like, her just being like a person and not like a TV person, but it was just, she's cool. I like her. Can't wait for her to show up. In general, pretty great season. I think all seasons should follow some kind of format, but then also I love the mashup. I love a good mashup.
I did enjoy the one season. I forget who was on it, where that got the other career bachelor or bachelorette, because Claire is a careerist in this show, and Nick, whatever his name, was also a careerist, and he just showed up midway through one person's season, was like, "Hey, what's up? I like you," and she's just kind of like, "How did you get here?"
No. He shows up on Caitlin's season, and they have sex, and it breaks the show. They just leave them in Ireland. They're like, look, this is where you are now. We're dealing with this for the next 3 weeks. Like, also, Tasha is definitely one of my favorites in Bachelor Nation. I love Nick. I love Caitlin Bristow. That's where Nick shows up on. Rachel Lindsay is awesome. And Tasha's great. And I'm looking forward to Matt James 919 next season. Our first black male bachelor.
Matt James 919.
That's his Instagram handle.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. Enough of that.
I'll never understand you two's fascination with the show.
You two's? I don't think Bono really cares about this show.
But The Edge loves it.
Yeah, he does. Anyway,
Adam Clayton is a huge fan.
Enough about this nonsense. Hey guys, we just passed through Halloween's. Casey, you're out in Dundalk. Did anything happen for you in Halloween's?
Not in our neck of the woods. It was pretty quiet. I mean, there's the East Point Mall had its yearly trouble, but that's about it.
Yeah. So at East Point Mall, which as the listener flies, is not one of the better malls. I mean, are there any better malls anymore anyway? But
No.
Yeah, East Point has like a flea market in it. Does it, or is that Golden Ring? I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're thinking something else.
The point is,
now is the right time for Security Square Mall.
East Point, however, does have a haunted house feature there. Is that correct?
Yes.
Bennett's Curse.
Which I'm surprised that they did that this year, given COVID. But
yeah,
whatever.
Well, I mean, look, you can do a haunted house because, in my experience, going through those things, like you're going through it with you and your little group, and you're getting terrorized by a person with a fake chainsaw, but like nobody's in you or like coughing on you, and it would be a little disruptive for everyone to be like doing it with masks on, but I could see how you could pull it off. And I've been to Bennett's Curse before. I think it's a fairly mobile unit. Like they just set up like a circus tent and have like, you're wandering through the whole thing, yada, yada, yada. But yes, so there was some police presence there last night. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know all the details, but I got the little alert on that.
The Citizen app.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, when the Essex and the Dundalk decide to go toe to toe, it's never a good time. Gonna have a bad time. As for us, we made our way out to the Fells Point zone and did a little rooftop projector tree house of horror watching, which was fun but very cold. We heard, but I unfortunately did not see the parade that went through the Patterson Park area. It sounded like a hell of a party, but my understanding was that the entirety of like Fells Point and Fells Point Square was on total lockdown and everything closed by like 8:30.
So people couldn't have gone crazy even if they wanted to.
Yeah, in theory. However, I did hear that Federal Hill was a complete nightmare, and it was basically this year's version of latter-day Fells Point. I was fortunate enough to not be around for any of that. We got home really late and didn't catch a whiff of any of that shit. But man, I just like, these.
Will you ever do anything like that again?
Yes, of course. I mean, no, I take that back. No, I will not. I will not stoop to the depths of waiting an hour and a half at like a Max's Tap House to get a beer or take a piss on Halloween night because 90 million 22-year-olds, wearing slutty and or whatever outfits decide that that's the place you got to be.
Here's a question.
Amateur hour.
Here's a question. Who gets the Science Center party in the divorce, me or Caitlin?
I mean, you all the way, because I think you're the one who appreciates it maybe a bit more.
I'll definitely do drugs that I couldn't do while married and hang out in the planetarium.
Okay. I might know some people that can help you with that.
Cool. Awesome.
Which I am not allowed to say as a federal employee.
Maybe did I confirmed or denied?
But either way, I don't know when that party is going to come back. That is an annual cluster F of a crowd of people, just drunkenly wandering around the Science Center.
I think you both can coexist at that party. I think it's big enough.
No, and that's also true, Casey. I don't think the Science Center is big enough for the two of you.
I think you are correct. Here's another question. I have, next year is my 20th anniversary of graduating from high school. High school. Will I have my 20th high school reunion?
I don't know, man. That's kind of up to the class of 2000.
And one.
Yeah, that's when I graduated college, so that's why I gave a bit of pause because my 20th fucking college. I don't think we're gonna have an alumni gathering next year either.
My 20th college reunion won't be till sometime in 2043.
Right, yeah. You'll be like 70 years old, and all the 38-year-olds will be showing up like, oh, I remember you from my poli-sci class.
I'll be 60, friend. I'll be close to 60.
You don't know that yet.
No, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I've decided that I kind of want to get fit enough to have a heart attack on the tennis courts.
Okay.
That's how I want to go.
Gotcha. Yeah, Brian, if you were to get into a pastime other than, riding your bike to and from work and occasionally on trails, like what little sport would you get into?
Probably tennis.
Tennis.
Or jai-alai.
Jai-alai. Oh, yeah.
Jai-alai.
Well, as we know, there's a jai-alai court in White Marsh.
What is that?
Is there?
Right next to the indoor skydiving court.
Wait, what?
No, Casey,
what is...
you idiot. Yes, and.
Because of the large Cuban community that exists in Baltimore, Casey.
Should have gone with Old Town.
I just don't know.
That's a great question. I feel like a lot of people our age got into rock climbing, and I just don't want to do that.
That's definitely like a guy in his 30s type of activity to sort of do, because it's very quiet and solo, and you don't have to deal with people yelling at you and whatever. I've always been a solo artist when it comes to activities. Like, I enjoy fishing, I enjoy bowling, I enjoy skiing. I don't care about team sports. Like, I don't care about, any of it.
Well, but see, that's the thing. I don't think I get into rock climbing because I would much rather. I like the idea of tennis because at least there's a score and a winner at the end. What I've learned from all the schooling I've been doing is that I really like getting graded.
Okay.
As long as it's good grades.
I think when you're an adult, the idea of being an achiever means a little more than when you're like 19 or 18 and you're kind of like, I don't fucking care. Like, I just want to,
But at the same time, I've also been able to identify the class that I don't care if I get a C in. Like, right. I just need to do well. Like, there's the micro and the macro view of this entire thing.
So which one's that? Which class is that?
The micro view is that I have to do well in everything. The macro view is I fucking hate this geography class. I just need a C in it so I can graduate.
I feel though like I could take almost any class at this point and get an A in it, because I'm just kind of like, this stuff isn't that hard unless it's like calculus 2 or something to that effect.
So I had a paper to write last week and I had some friends over and it was due Tuesday at midnight. And by the time bachelor started, I think I had like 2.5 pages done. So I had till midnight with friends over, like, to fucking knock out this paper. I did it. I hated it. I thought it was the worst piece of shit I ever wrote. I got 25 out of 25 on it.
Were you graded on a curve?
If I was graded on the curve, then I would have taken the 23 out of 25.
I'm getting to the point where I have to start thinking about professional development in school and stuff like that, and I'm just kind of like, ugh.
It's fun. It's hard to find. It's just all about finding the time to like get the work done along with the rest of your adult life.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, my adult life is working at a grocery store, but even still,
you forgot about the Bachelor with Friends. So there's two things.
Oh, I have two things going on. On a podcast, we're going to finish that. We're going to finish this, and I'm going to knock out 2 page, write another page and a half tonight. It's fun, but it's tough. I like it. I like it, and I like having strangers tell me that they here's what they think I'm worth.
Well, especially when these are people that are barely older than you. They're almost your contemporaries. They just happen to be experts in their field of knowledge, and you're kind of demonstrating, hey, I've got a grasp on this.
Right. My favorite was the other day when the teacher was asked the class like a historical event that they've been alive for, that they'll always remember where they were when people were like, oh, this is happening right now, and no one could come up with the class was silent for 30 seconds until I finally had to pipe in and be like, I'm a little older than everybody, but 9/11.
Yeah. Yeah. How about
was anybody in your class alive then?
So this is a history 300 class. This is for history. This is a 300 level class. History 300.
That's bonkers.
So they're either 20 or 21, right?
But let me interrupt you for 1 second, because
it's
a history 300 class and no one came up with 9/11. They could have come up with any number of international events, like genocidal events.
They weren't alive for it.
Right.
They don't remember 9/11.
But if these are presumably history majors or something like that, if it's a 300 level class, they would have been aware of something. You would have thought that they would have been engaged in world news or something, and been like the Arab Spring that happened on Twitter. We were around for that. When whatever is Gaddafi, or I forget his name.
Sure.
But he was.
But do you remember where you were? Killed. Do you remember where you were when during the Arab Spring? I do, but I was an adult. You know, it was 5 years ago. I remember 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like for me, do you remember the Sunday night when Osama bin Laden was killed?
Yes, I do. And I think we talked about this the other day, that the first person that I noticed that broke that news or predicted it was because the president said, hey, we gotta interrupt everything that's going on right now. And I was scrolling through Twitter, and the person that predicted what was going to happen was Tom fucking Green on Twitter.
The person on your timeline.
Yes, on my timeline.
And then, like, The Rock apparently knew about it before it was public knowledge somehow.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's like, if you go back and look at it, he tweeted something like, "Oh, I just heard some news that's going to shock the world," and it was like hours before they officially announced. I guess presumably he's got some buddies in the military.
I was going to say,
but what about this? If you are part of SEAL Team 6 and you kill Osama bin Laden, and the president says, what can I get for you?" Like, pretty good Obama. Pretty good Obama.
Expert Obama impression.
My answer would be, is like, well, I'm going to need you to get Dwayne Johnson on the phone. I think I'm going to want to, I'm going to burn this. I'm going to need to have lunch with The Rock and just see if we can trade cell numbers.
You have to imagine that The Rock is friends with a bunch of special forces guys because they just think he's the coolest dude on earth, and he is. And, they follow him on Twitter, and they're like, I'm in SEAL Team 6. And then as soon as they killed bin Laden, they like DM The Rock, and they're like, we did it, Dunzo, mission accomplished.
Osama selfie.
Oh no. All right, enough school chat, Halloween chat, all that bullshit. Let's pivot.
It's a sad day.
Why? Oh,
because Sean Connery died.
Yeah, he did. I was gonna talk about the McRib first, but let's do.
Okay. I mean, you could say the same thing about either, but
yes, it's a sad day for two reasons. One, the McRib is back, and two, Sean Connery has died.
Well,
let's 90 years old.
Let's start with Sean, and then let's pick it up. Let's pick it up with the McRib.
The man now, dog, in heaven, because all dogs go to heaven.
Oh, nice. We are recording this. I have Dr. No on mute in the background. You know, first off, he's a beautiful fucking man.
Oh God. I mean, slaying that tank just constantly in the 50s, 60s, and the 70s, and all the way up in 2000s. Who knows?
What year did Entrapment come out?
I'm gonna guess 1993 or 5. I don't know why I'm getting those two numbers confused.
No, that movie came out in like 99.
Oh, did it? Entrapment?
Yeah,
with Demi Moore.
That's Disclosure, dude.
Oh yeah.
Entrapment
was Catherine Zeta-Jones, right?
Yeah.
I was getting those two movies confused.
So that's got to be late 90s.
Like movie autism when it comes to like remembering these things.
He wasn't in Disclosure anyway. He was in Rising Sun.
Right. Yep.
A different Michael Crichton movie.
He was in a shitload of very different movies, and I'm very sad that the last movie that he was in was The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, because that was
that's only if you're a person who dislikes The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I didn't think. Sorry,
I don't hate that movie.
I don't like it.
It's very bad, but I don't hate it.
Very bad. The Untouchables, man.
Oh my God, it's so good.
And all of his Shakespeare stuff, like I just like, he just had so much range, and unfortunately, he was in that movie Zardoz. And if you've never seen Zardoz, you should watch Zardoz. I
was gonna say my favorite. I don't know. He's in Shakespeare stuff.
Oh yeah, I forget. I think he did a Hamlet thing. He did a couple of them. I mean, some of them on screen, some of them.
Darby O'Gill and the Little People, was that his Shakespeare movie?
Yeah.
What's your favorite Sean Connery movie?
Man. Because I don't want to include any of the James Bondses, because that's just like he's good in almost all of them except for that one that they brought him back in the 80s with Kim Basinger.
Never Say Never Again.
Yeah, it's a bad one. But yeah, I Untouchables I think is like up there. It's definitely in the top 3. Farts. Get back to me, Casey. What do you remember most about the old Sean?
I mean, it's
fucking
going to be the same
Highlander,
thing
you
as.
kidding me?
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
I mean, it's going to be the same. Like, it's kind of hard to pick one because they're just all really good.
Well, what one
Forgot
means
he
the
was in
most to you then,
Dragonheart.
Casey?
I forgot he was in Dragonheart.
He was
That's
the
kind
dragon in Dragonheart.
yeah.
That was
Hello, Dennis. Oh, hello, Dennis Quaid. I'm here to help you kill dragons or something.
I think the only
I mean-
conceit in that movie that I enjoyed was that Dennis Quaid and the dragon were both in on it together. Like they were grifters. But the rest of that movie was kind of crap. What's going on with your little ring set up there, Brian?
I don't know. I'm trying to make it good.
Did your tripod fall?
A little bit.
Okay.
I mean, you got The Hunt for Red October,
Right.
Highlander. Like it's hard to pick one. I mean,
I think
obviously Untouchables.
I mean, I think we're forgetting like the most obvious choice, which is The Rock.
Well, yeah, The Rock.
No, you're actually forgetting the most obvious choice, which is fucking Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Junior.
Junior, let it go.
I love the part where he takes his umbrella and fluffs it at all the seagulls and kills a Nazi plane with that.
You gave Marcus the book?
I had that. That was one of like, you know how every house, unless you're rich, has like 6 VHS tapes.
Uh-huh.
So Indiana Jones: Last Crusade was one of the VHS tapes we had. I had that movie fucking memorized. The Penitent Man shall pass. You know, like my entire Sean Connery, it's all based off of the way he would speak in Last Crusade, and he's almost a fucking parody of himself in that movie.
Right.
It's so good.
But here's the good news is he was 90 years old. Like this was not something that he had been retired for quite some time. I guess we're going to expect that Jack Nicholson and Gene Hackman and some of these other old people are going to pop off soon enough. But
Well, you know who's almost 90, and I'm going to be really sad when it happens.
Patrick Stewart.
No, but I mean, you're on the right track.
Shatner, yes.
Shatner.
Isn't he over 90 at this point?
I think he's 89.
Okay. But yeah, Shatner. I mean, Betty White, like she's well over 90. There's a lot of people.
She'll live forever. It's like it's gonna be between her and Keith Richards, who can last the
one of
longest.
those ancient deep sea fish that just winds up as immortal.
A coelacanth?
Yeah, coelacanths. There's also a lot of snapping turtles and various tortoises that are over 200 years old that are living in zoos at this point. So what I'm saying is we should just put Betty White in a zoo.
I would go see that. And here is the elusive Betty White.
What if anything would we feed Betty White in a zoo?
Cheesecake. Get the fuck out of here.
Thanks. Okay. For the rest of her.
It'd be like in Silicon
Like you've
Valley
never
where
seen the Golden Girls.
It'd be like in Silicon Valley where they just like take like really healthy young men and just like drain their blood
Right.
and give it to Betty White.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. All those youth transfusions, which is scientifically proven to work.
Yeah, most people don't know this, but Nexium was actually based on the writings of Betty White.
Ooh, she's the founder.
Yes, she's the real Keith Raniere.
The founder, title of the episode, picture of Betty White with a little Nexium logo in the bottom.
The founder of Nexium is Betty White.
Yeah, there you go. All right, speaking of founders, Michael Keaton starred in The Founder, which was about McDonald's, and the McRib is back. Oh, I did it! I did it! I did it! Fucking did it.
A round of applause.
Brian, you're a huge fan of the McRib.
Yes. If it's sad because Sean Connery is dead, it's extra sad because I can't go drown my sorrows in 4 or 5 McRibs.
In a sea of McRibs. Casey, have you ever had a McRib?
So the last time I had a McRib, I was eating it while watching Food Inc.
Oh,
And simultaneously, yeah. So it felt like really disgusting and satisfying at the same time. It was really, really conflicting.
Yeah. So I've never had a Big Mac and I've never had a McRib.
It's not worth it.
Probably not.
No.
I imagine I could take, I could find those rib patty materials, myself, and kind of make a homemade McRib on a cornmeal dusted sub roll with pickles, onions, and corn syrup laden barbecue sauce, and make a better version myself.
What I still don't understand is why the McRib is so elusive. Like, I think this is the first time in 10 years that it's actually going to be nationwide.
Okay.
And I thought it was like every couple of years, not every 10.
Well, it's been that the franchisees can choose who gets it, and they're just like, no Baltimore area franchisees who ever get it.
Which is because Baltimore
now
loves its ribs.
But now it's going to be nationwide. Like, every single McDonald's will have it during this period.
Casey, #country needs it. I don't know what to tell you.
Please, let's not ever do that again. But my understanding, and I listened to a podcast a while ago about the nature of the McRib and why it's seasonal or periodical or whatever it is. It's entirely tied to the price of pork. And I think between like the trade war with Trump and then COVID and this and that and the other, like all of the price things have been completely thrown out of whack. And for whatever reason, McDonald's, which at this point, they are making so much fucking money because everyone is going to McDonald's via drive-through or ordering, and carry out and this and that. Everybody is like, we're stuck at home. We're going to eat McDonald's because we're all stressed out. We're just eat like turds for the rest of our lives until this whole thing is over. And even still, we're going to eat like turds, which is why you should get that stash card. And every time you order a McDonald's, you get stash back.
True story. McDonald's profits were down the quarter before COVID, and now they are up 3.6%. I did read that or something like that. I did read something like that in an article.
That is the truth. They in the fast food wars are sort of like, they're really sticking to their guns. I mean, they've introduced the spicy McNuggets, but like their core products are the things that people are going back to right now. Whereas we had the option today of getting some fast food for dinner, and I was like, okay, well, in the city, there aren't very many options. Like, you've got to drive a pretty long way to get like a Burger King or something like that. And
29th Street.
Huh?
There's a Burger King at 29th Street.
Yeah, there's also a Burger King on Eastern Avenue, way the fuck out in Fells Point. Either way, I've got to drive multiple miles to get to the nearest Burger King, which, if you're in the suburbs, that's no big deal. But in the city, it's a pain in the ass. And the mere thought of eating Burger King, I was like, no. Nope. What do they got? Nothing. They got the Whopper? Oh, fuck the Whopper. Fuck that Whopper.
They have the double Whopper.
They do have the double Whopper. Here's the other thing. The last time I went to a McDonald's, I got a McDouble, and the piece of shit McDouble that was served to me was so sloppy and whatnot that I posted it to Twitter, and I was like, look at this McDouble, Twitter. And the actual McDonald's McCount tweeted at me and was
thumbs up.
Yeah, and was like, oh no, this is bad. Here, click on this link and tell us how we can do better. And I've been waiting because I think, if I were to report this McDonald's, it's the only McDonald's in the area. And it's like, I want them to be reprimanded somehow, but I don't want them to be like, somehow, I don't want them to
go away.
Yeah, like, we need a McDonald's in the area. But this McDouble was so egregious. And I'm just hoping I get like a $5 coupon or something for free fries.
This is a real Marge Simpson move. Like, you're going to get the McDonald's taken away from the entire world, and everyone's going to hate you.
Yes. Yeah, that's definitely going to happen.
like you really want to call the manager, but like, you also understand what calling the manager would mean for everybody else. I think it's very nice of you. I
think everybody living in the area that listens to this show in South Baltimore knows of this McDonald's, and they know how bad
the worst.
It's
the worst.
It's incredible.
Everyone knows that the McDonald's on Ford Avenue is the worst McDonald's in the world, except for whatever other worst McDonald's in the world you're thinking. There's like 50 or 70,000 worst McDonald's in the world.
McDonald's in the Walmart in Catonsville is better than this McDonald's.
That is one of the enjoyable things about. Well, there were lots of, we would go to, we went to the foreign McDonald's just to see what they had.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
that was a fun thing to do.
Yeah. I just mentioned the McDonald's in the Walmart, and I will never forget the time that I was pulling up, alongside the scanner. You could not only purchase all of your Walmart items, but you could also pre-purchase a 2 cheeseburger meal from the McDonald's in the Walmart while you were in line purchasing your Walmart items.
But
That's
only
amazing.
a 2 cheeseburger. But only. What if I wanted a Big Mac?
No, I mean all of the value menu stuff was on there, so you could order anything you wanted from the McDonald's. But this McDonald's was like almost. It was so small that it's basically like Japanese Subway small, where all of the things are in these little drawers and they're just like pulling out like all of the little items like the patties and shit and assembling all the things. McDonald's isn't food. It's not food. Let's never, lie to ourselves that McDonald's is food. It's not food. It's just edible yummies.
No, I don't know. Quarter pounder with cheese is pretty good.
It's not bad, but it's not food.
Get it with extra onions. That way they have to make it fresh.
Oh, that way it's food?
Yes.
Okay, great.
So
Now-
Brian, how many McRibs are you gonna have?
If I had to guess, the first day out, I will have 4 McRibs.
4.
2 for lunch, 2 for dinner. Maybe 5 in case I want to have 3 for lunch.
2 and 2. Any fries with that or a Diet Coke?
Yeah.
Oh, could you imagine if they did 2 for $5 McRibs?
2 for 5 McRibs?
Yeah, because they do like 2 for $3 McDoubles. They do, Burger King does like 2 for $5 McWhop.
I would spend $20 for 8 McRibs.
Okay,
McRibs.
pretty sad. All right, we're running long on the first half of the show, so it is now time to take a break and give Matt props.
Give me the tray.
Two persons, places, and things giving us jollies. It's time for shout outs! Yeah, I already did the speech. So we don't have any shout outs from the fan zone because our fans are apparently terrible and or busy.
Yeah, I should have put it on Friday. I put it on Saturday. That was my bad.
Yeah, I mean, people living their lives on Halloween, who knows? But I think we probably ought to spread it out to multiple channels like the Twitters and the Instagram.
I don't think they're terrible, for the record.
Of course they're not terrible. It's a joke, Brian.
Hmm.
Brian.
Hmm.
My shout out this week is to all 2 of you who subscribe to our YouTube channel. I promise you might be disappointed. Also, shout out to the guy who used to run the website known as The Superficial that ran a 3-part Medium article 2 years ago that explained what happened to that celebrity gossip website and mostly tit pics known as The Superficial. It was very good.
I like that website.
Yeah, if you're a fan of The Superficial, look it up on Twitter and you can find a link to that guy's Medium post. It was very interesting.
What happened to it?
It was all about like corporate takeover. Well, not takeovers, but like corporate transitions and how, shit goes down on the internet in the latter day. The post-blogging era. Tit pics. Casey, do you have any shout-outs?
Shout out to the season premiere of Mandalorian. It was amazing. It's definitely, I love someone described it on Twitter as the Space Witcher. And I think that's an appropriate way to
Barf.
describe
No.
this show.
You're absolutely
It's just,
right. Casey, that's a very apt description.
yeah, and then just all the like throwbacks to the original series and even to the prequel trilogy, just the subtle nods that make it just kind of flesh out the show. It was great. It was
Yeah,
great.
What if you're somebody with a little bit of culture and class and wanted to call it Space Lone Wolf and Cub?
Moving right along, Brian, do you have any shout-outs?
Yeah. Shout out to a good property, one with 50 years of quality. Congratulations to Star Trek Discovery, which in its 3rd season has finally become a show that I want to watch.
Really?
Yes.
Ugh. Yeah.
Like all Star Trek shows, it took 3 seasons.
So is Picard going to take 3 seasons?
God, barf. But I do love Lower Decks. Lower Decks got me in the 1st season. There is nothing about Lower Decks I don't love.
Very good. All right, that has been what?
Shout out to immediately switching over to Christmas mode the day after Halloween. I got my Dunkin' Donuts this morning, holiday cup, was putting together bookshelves today, listening to Christmas music. It was great.
Yeah, I think, Casey, this is the first time ever in history that I am like, yeah, fuck it. Like, we're going into Christmas for 3 months. 3 months of Christmas.
Start decorating like as soon as I can.
I'm gonna do it as soon as all these cobwebs come down from spooky season. Hanging all those ornaments. Shout outs. All right, moving right along, we've got a couple more topics to cover this eve. You mentioned Mandalorian season 2. It's Baby Yoda season again, Brian. I know it's your favorite time of the year.
And it's also Raven season. I guess it's like it's the month overlap where I can wear my Lamar Jackson Baby Yoda shirt.
Greatest of all time, Lamar Jackson Baby Yoda shirt.
I did that for our visual listeners because I guess you could call them watchers. I wanted to see if you can.
Yeah, we can tell, Brian. Yes, the flurrying background is.
Oh, right.
Anyway, all of the Baby Yoda merch that is dropping for the holiday season. I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but the Amazon catalog that we got in the mail was rife with Baby Yoda merch. Baby Yoda pop heads or whatever they're called, Funkos, Baby Yoda Lego sets, Baby Yoda, like just Baby Yoda everything. And then,
my son has commandeered all the stuff that I bought, like the initial deluge of Baby Yoda toys that came out like 6 months after the show ended. It all showed up one day, and since then he's just like taking them for his own. So at night, he'll be in his crib, and then you hear the chirping, the little Baby Yoda noises, just like it's all quiet, and all of a sudden, it's kind of weird.
So your kid stole toys, and you're angry about it.
Yes,
those are my toys. Yeah, I would note that I just want to double down on that first episode of season 2 of The Mandalorian it was just a fun romp, and Timothy Olyphant is in it, and no spoilers, he's a sheriff or a marshal or something.
He's a marshal.
That is the only thing he does anymore is play a marshal or a sheriff in every goddamn thing that he's in. Including this season of Fargo, this season of The Mandalorian, on the entirety of Justified. What am I missing?
Deadwood.
Like
the Deadwood movie
thing. Either way, it's a good episode, and that's enough of that. Second half of the show. I did want to briefly talk about this commercial that I've been seeing on Hulu and/or various streaming platforms a lot. It's a little commercial for an app called Slot-O-Mania. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
I've seen it.
It's one of those standard, download apps where you play slot machines and you win fake money and you can redeem it for like coupons at Applebee's. I don't know. However, the commercial features one John Goodman as a finger.
And his hair is really weird in it.
Very strange. It's creepy. Super creepy, and in the group chat I posted a full version, and I use air quotes because it's like 1 minute and 10 seconds of John Goodman as a finger being depressed, just like so depressed, like being just used to touch a phone for boring purposes. And then once the person downloaded Slot-O-Mania, all of a sudden was super excited to be playing slots with his face. I'm assuming that John Goodman still has a career. Like he's on the Connors, right?
Yes.
Yes. So that's a show that you watch. I mean, he's on that show. In theory, he could still be in movies. Like he could still do a whole lot of stuff. Like why on God's green earth would he appear on the commercial for a slot machine app?
Why
He wanted a boat.
He wanted a boat.
Why is
I want a boat.
Samuel Jackson in, was it Capital One commercials?
Yeah, and Jennifer Garner and all that stuff. I mean, but that's credit card money. I mean, that's reputable. This is an app for a slot machine.
For Zynga.
Where he appears as a finger face head.
He said, you know what? I heard that people love Farmville.
Right.
So I want to get in on some of this app money.
Hey, remember Zynga?
Farmville is canceled next month or something.
Yeah, Zynga is a Rockville, Maryland-based or maybe Silver Spring-based company that I think really went really hard down the tubes in terms of getting into the hubris of being a tech company. Fuck them. All of that micro transaction-based gameplay, I'm starting to get real tired of it. And there are a lot of mobile games that I've been playing for many years that I'm very, very eager to now sort of walk away from.
Are you still playing Tapped Out?
No. We re-downloaded that a number of months ago and started playing it again. And it was just awful. It's just like the repetitive. I mean, obviously the gameplay is repetitive. It's by nature repetitive, but it's not addictive. It was just repetitive and bad.
It was addictive for those 2 years we played hard.
That is true. Yeah. And it was very fun to build your own Springfield. But they did a Black History Month episode update thing. And it was just kind of wait, what? And all of the events were the exact same. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it was bad.
Make Lenny go to the museum.
Yeah, kind of like that. And then
no, I guess it'll be Carl. Make Carl go to the museum.
So Carl would go to the museum 3 times, and then you would unlock the Black History Museum for Springfield, and then you would unlock Dr. Hibbard's cousin or something like that. It was bad. It was very bad.
Make first appearance Smithers do this. Because
yeah. Hey, remember when Smithers was black? What? Yeah, Smithers was black.
One episode.
Yeah, at least one, maybe 2. I don't know. All right, so second half of the show, I told you all we were going to talk about the election. No predictions. Brian, you want to make a prediction?
I mean, I don't know who will win, but I guarantee you Donald Trump will be president.
Okay. It's interesting because I was listening to an episode, the most recent episode of Radio Lab, where they talk to a bunch of people in the government that had to do war games. So this is something the government does on occasion, where they get together, everybody gets in a room and they come up with scenarios, and they talk about okay, Trump just tweeted about Iran. What are some of the permutations or possibilities about what could happen after that? Trump gets on television and he is asked in one of the debates, are you going to agree to a peaceful transfer of power? He says, I don't know. We're going to have to see what happens. They immediately started to do war games and came up with 18 different scenarios. And the further down the rabbit hole of these scenarios they got, the stranger and the more dystopian and awful it got, which is crazy considering how already crazy and dystopian we are right now. But it essentially says what I think we already all know, that this is not going to be an uncontested election. It is definitely going to be contested. And as this episode drops on Tuesday, the election day, we are not going to know the results for quite some time. And there is no doubt in my mind, and here's my prediction, that Trump and the majority of the people that surround him, or, your Mitch McConnells and this and that and the other, who have already kind of swished the net basketball wise with the fucking Supreme Court, they got that one, are going to somehow make this whole thing fuckery and try to take it in a direction where it is going to be contested, even if Joe Biden wins by several gajillion votes, even if the Electoral College starts to swing in his direction. They have the ability to reassign those electoral people in the Electoral College. There's nothing that says they can't. So why wouldn't they? It's got to be in their war chest at this point in time. But what we do know right now is that all of the early voting information is that several states, and most, actually, I'm going to just say most states, are at their 2016 levels of voter turnout right now. And as we're recording this, it's 2 days before the election, which is insane. I mean, good. It's very good. Bad that historically the turnout for voting has been shit. But I don't know. I get the sense that, young people are turning out now, and a lot of people are fed up with stuff. I don't know. What do you guys think?
So,
I decided
Evan,
I'm not going to vote since
That's
we're a
not
blue
all talk
state.
at once. Go ahead, Casey.
I was gonna say, so how old were you in 2020?
I was 20.
So you voted in that election. Like, what do you remember about that? Because I was a little bit younger, so like I didn't vote in that election.
Well, what I remember was the hanging chads, and like basically the whole election hinged on the state of Florida. What I later learned as an adult was that all of that recount business, what that was going on and was trying to be, taking place by responsible citizens who were doing their civic duty, was summarily interrupted by one Roger Stone, who started a bunch of fucking riots. And so that whole entire thing came down to less than 7,000 votes or something like that, which, by the way, Al Gore did also win the popular vote. And that was another one of those elections that we could see this happen in 2 days. And I really don't want it to happen. I would rather us enter an era of something other than what we're doing right now. Brian, what do you think?
Regardless of who wins this election, of who is president, we're never going back to the world we had before. I mean, that's just a silly hope and dream. Nothing. Everything's going to get worse.
You're probably right, but I because I think the assumption is that everyone is, and this is something I never thought about, prior to hearing all this stuff about like Facebook and how they're just not doing jack shit about it. And then one day Mark Zuckerberg decides that, well, maybe I've turned the corner on the Holocaust denying stuff on Facebook, that they're not controlling the flow of information. It's not as if Facebook is a public utility, but they are protected by a law that the Congress put in effect that said, like, a platform is not responsible for the behavior of its users. Now I think they're going to revisit a lot of that, because the conservatives are like, we're being censored because, we're trying to like put out information and we're getting squelched. And the liberals are saying, there are people that are putting out bad information and it's harming individuals and activating, violent people to kill. So maybe that will change. I guess the ultimate solution is just uninstall Facebook. Like, just don't. Just put pictures of your babies on it. Like, use it for what it was initially intended, in my opinion. Share,
grade the women that you know.
Right. Just
which was its original intention.
Share information with your friends. Stalk girls you wish you could date. Like, don't share your political opinions or any of that bullshit. Like, it's really devolved into a mire of craziness. And as we've now demonstrated, it's being infiltrated. Our elections are being infiltrated by foreign actors. And since Facebook will not do the thing that Twitter did and say, well, no political advertising. Yes, I can see the nerds. Yes, Brian, that's a very delicious dinner you're having.
It's the only advertising that's allowed by delicious nerds.
Look, that's not a product placement. Nerds is not paying us money. Okay, Willy Wonka did not show up and give me a golden ticket, so let's not put them on camera. Thanks.
But you could, advertisers.
Look, Brian, do you want to be the booker, the salesperson for this show, the ad rep?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be the host and producer. You can do all that stuff if you want to make some money.
I just want to be invited places.
Right. Well, nobody's getting invited anywhere right now. Anyway.
Is there going to be like an inauguration?
Good question. Yes. If Trump gets elected, for sure, it will be 10 million people with no masks, and no one will get COVID because it doesn't exist. And no one will die except, the old people, but they don't exist either. We don't care. But I don't want to talk about the actual election. I want to talk about what we're going to do on election day.
I have a bottle of bourbon.
We've got a bottle of bourbon.
Yes.
I'm going to make a barbecue brisket. That's what I'm going to do.
I'm going to go to work.
You're
But
gonna
here's
work.
a question.
Yes.
Here's a question.
Yes.
8 p.m., 8:30 p.m. Well, you're watching the news all day.
Uh-huh.
You know, you see people have begun to, no matter whichever side it is, people have begun to kind of congregate on the streets. Protests are happening, popping up in major cities. Around 8:30, explosions start. You know, you hear a couple of booms, some fires. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do if on Tuesday the revolution starts?
I'm gonna call my friend that lives out in I got two friends. I got one that lives in Severna Park and one that lives in Sykesville, and they both have a lot of guns, and they have property. And I'm gonna be like, hey, can I bring my tent and just like shack up there? You know, if the city is gonna devolve into a state of total chaos, oh yeah, I guess I'll bring the cat too. But
Hi,
Are you gonna pick me up?
can I come?
am I gonna? Yes, of course, Hannah's gonna come. Jesus. Hannah's laid out with back pain right now, and she's not having a good time.
Yeah, but you're gonna pick
That's
me
my
up.
setup, actually, is to Hannah's back pain. Speaking of which, Casey, since
The other one.
we're recording at this point, do you have any hot tips for our listeners for back pain? Because you've lived through a lot of back pain.
Just what I said earlier. Just the heat. Heat is good. Some sort of lumbar support. You can, if you don't have like a special pillow, you can take a towel and roll it up and stick it behind your back. Yeah, it's 800 milligrams of ibuprofen until you can get to the doctor, and that's really all you can do.
So let's all remind ourselves, because we've seen X-rays of your back. You've got scoliosis. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah. So your back is shaped like an S, and
pretty much.
you've got all kinds of vertebra problems. And
Missing some discs
I
at
was
this
gonna
point.
say, how many of your vertebrae have been fused at this point?
I was born with 2 fused, and then I had some fused like right out of college.
Oh, Casey, were you picked last for teams?
All the time.
All the time. Anyway, back to the election. So I'm going to make a barbecue brisket. Brian, you're going to be working. Casey, I forgot. What did you say? I'm sorry.
Bourbon, just lots of
Just
bourbon.
all day.
But I mean, I've got to like ration it out because we're not going to know what's going to happen on Tuesday. So, like, that's why I was asking about 2000, because if I didn't realize it was like December before it was like, okay, this is how it's going to go.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple weeks.
It went that long mostly because of the recount in Florida, where, but normally speaking, and by the law, even when the news is reporting the poll data and doing all of that big graphical shit of the United States of America with all the states changing colors, that still isn't the final verdict. It's the Electoral College. Like, they have a deadline of like December something to make up their mind. And I did not know this, but even in the last election, there were a lot of electoral votes that went to like random people. So these people are not under any obligation to follow popular vote in their state. Like, they can do whatever the fuck they want. Like, it makes absolutely no sense.
Depending on the state.
And it does depend on the state, and a lot of states currently are, well, let's be honest, blue states are switching to the winner takes all model, which says essentially whoever gets the most votes, the Electoral College in that state has to go with that candidate. So, through efforts to kajigger gerrymandering and various other various other things that, if you're being intellectually honest, the Republican Party is using it to its own advantage to lopside the entire effort to get itself back into office or into power. That in concert with voter suppression, and I don't care what anyone fucking says, like, that's a tool. It's been used for years and years and decades, and overwhelmingly is used by the Republicans. It's on paper, it's fact. Don't ever argue with me about this. I'll kill you. Intellectually.
Don't at me, bro.
Do not at me. I mean, this is on history's side. If you're going to deny the efforts of the Republican Party to use voter suppression to curry their favor, there are dudes on tape that say we don't want people to vote. We don't want people to vote because when people vote, we lose.
It's a real shit show. Real excited to be living in this country.
I think, well, so here's what gives me a little bit of hope. I've noticed a lot more and more that young people are getting involved, more so than ever, to the point where, like, I'm listening to some podcasts, and granted, they are left-leaning, where 13-year-olds are calling in and saying, like, yeah, I've been phone banking for Joe Biden. They aren't even allowed to have social media accounts. They're too young. They can't vote. They won't be able to vote for another 2 election cycles. So these children are getting more and more tuned into, the seriousness of what we as children didn't care about at all. And
13-year-olds can't have Facebook.
Right. We were not supposed to care about this stuff, and we didn't. And, in a perfect world, we shouldn't have to, but we do. And now we're actually the people that are supposed to be taking over. And I still feel like, oh my God, I'm just a child. I don't know. I'm not like electable. I don't understand how any of this works.
I'm a 16-year-old in my brain.
Right. You and your dad and my mom and me too, and all of us. And it's weird, like seeing, the 18-year-olds, the 17-year-olds, the 16-year-olds, down to the 13-year-olds who are watching what's going on in the world and recognizing, like, oh man, this is going to matter for us. And our parents, like, aren't keeping us in mind when they're going out to the polls and voting. Like,
they're not keeping us in mind. They don't give a fuck about us.
Yeah, I mean, but that's like a flaw of human nature. Like, I don't think we are capable of thinking 40 years down the line, like, oh,
we're not.
this decision that I make now is going to affect my children's children, but they're not here now, so what do I care? Like, my taxes are too high. I don't want to pay taxes. I don't want to, like, have to, recycle this piece of plastic or not throw it down the drain or all these other things that, generally speaking, easy levels of responsibility that anyone should be able to adhere to. We don't, because we're fucking entitled and lazy, but other countries seem to be able to do it. And that's my election summary.
I'm just over it. But I just assume that this is just how it is forever.
Yeah, I'm just so exhausted by it all. I just, if Trump gets reelected, I'm going to activate completely, or I'm going to shut down completely and just take up woodworking. I don't know what I'm going to do. Casey, what are you going to do?
It's like you said, it's one or the other, shut down or activate. I don't know.
So we're both. Okay, let's say Trump gets elected. You're not going to move out.
Canada? Canada sounds like a good, I mean.
Well, but the taxes are very high. Taxes are super high.
I am going to move to Amsterdam and get a job at the red light district.
Okay. Wait, as a cheese mopper?
Whore.
Porn.
Whore.
Whore?
Whore.
Male whore.
Whore. A man whore.
Yes.
So not a jizz mopper.
No. I figure, I'm going to start at the bottom, do what I got to do. But then only get myself a window.
Jizz mopper, then become an apprentice man whore?
Yes. It's like you can't even start getting fucked. You have to start by mopping up jizz.
Right, yes. Yeah, then you've got to, it's like if you want to become a master sushi chef, you got to start out making the rice.
And isn't that just a great tourism slogan? America, it's worse than mopping up jizz.
Yeah.
Boy, shut up, America. That's what I say.
Yeah, we might as well do it and close the books on this episode. What do you say, guys?
I'm ready.
Fair enough. Brian, do you have homework to do? Is that it?
I do.
Yeah. What's
I
the
do.
assignment?
What?
What's the assignment?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. It's an 18-page research paper is the end result, but this result is my 6-page evidence draft of a paper that I'm calling Yippee-ki-yay, oy vey.
That's classic. All right, before we get to shut up.
It's a history of Jewish cowboys.
Oh, okay.
And I will be starting the paper off with this quote. And there were Jewish cowboys, big guys, who were great shots and spent money freely. Do you know what that's from?
No.
That was said by Mr. Bergstrom, also known as Lisa's substitute.
Oh, yeah. The one, the pedophile episode.
No. What? No. Why would you say that?
Because there was that cut scene where Mr. Bergstrom diddles Lisa in the, Mr. Willie.
Oh, I've seen short films that star The Simpsons. Bart is constantly plowing Marge, and she does have blue pubes.
Awful. Just awful.
The internet sucks.
Yep. It's gross. It's really.
Hey, Evan, don't we look so much better than Casey? Casey, you got to get yourself a ring light.
I have one. I couldn't find the little dongle I need to plug it in.
Well, Casey,
Casey, you couldn't find your little dongle?
Yeah.
Find your little dongle, Casey.
You either get a dongle or get one of those HD webcams like I did on Amazon. Go to ctb.com, cityofthebreeze.com/deals and click through our Amazon banner to buy that webcam. In the meantime, it's time to get a little angry. Time to get a little venture.
I mean, just the ravages of time, man. Just it sucks.
Oh, I forgot. Before we get to this segment, I wanted to do a little thing we like to call t-shirt check.
Oh.
Casey, you go first. Show us your t-shirt.
Bros.
Got yourself
Casey's wearing merch.
Shopper Society t-shirt. I've got a Wisp Ski Patrol 1993 Special Olympics shirt. Belonged to my dead dad. Brian, what do you got?
I'm wearing a Vineyard Vines long sleeve tee. It's out of season, but it does say Happy Hanukkah on the back. So I'm just wearing it around the house right now because it's a good long sleeve, and then I'll break it out for public consumption in the month of December.
Have any of you turned on the heat yet?
Yes.
You have?
Fireplace.
I have not. Not gonna do it.
Well, so
wasn't
here's
up to
the
me.
thing.
Luckily, I have roommates now who get to make those decisions.
Yeah.
I
to be
can't
fair,
use my rig. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I say, to be fair, I had a roommate who made that decision anyway. So,
Well, I am the landlord, so I'll be making that decision. Once it gets
have you turned your heat on?
yes, once it gets down to like 58, maybe. But it is
So
nice.
I can't.
Coming down the stairs on a nice crisp morning when it's like 65 downstairs. Ooh.
Yeah, I can't use my regular heating system because of Earl. So I had to use the fireplace.
Oh, wow. All right, time to go to random time to shut up.
You gonna let the band deal with this?
Oh no, the app quit. I'm not editing this out.
Good thing you bought a new tablet.
Yeah, well, that'll be next week. Yeah, show notes. The next week, this will be a meeting of 4 because producer Mila, for the first time, will be on the show. Anyway, so.
You gonna let the band deal with this?
It is now time to end the show and give people's places and things that are giving us the opposite of jollies and the opposite of mad props, hearty, proverbial, or literal shut up. Casey, I know we've got one from the fan zone.
I was shut up to Facebook post not showing or showing up 24 hours late.
Yeah. Do we blame the algorithm on this, or the holiday weekend, or just laziness?
A little bit of both.
Why can't it be all the columns?
All of them.
My shut up, as I said before, is to Hannah's back pain. Laid up right now, can't move. Not doing a whole lot of moving. Actually was screaming earlier. It was very blood curdling. And I'm very sad that happened. Brian, what do you got?
Just shut up to just existence.
Yeah.
I think I'm becoming a nihilist.
Okay.
Is that what I'm becoming?
You're gonna start listening to Kraftwerk.
How does it feel
Three,
to hurt me like you do?
There's a lot of industrial synth, I think. What about is
Du hast recht.
Rammstein? Are they?
Nah, they're like industrial rock. I don't think they're nihilists.
What's a nihilist?
A person that doesn't believe in anything. I don't know. I mean, I'm not one of them. Like,
I believe in Santa Claus.
Oh, very good. That has been shut up.
What?
I'm kidding. Casey, go ahead.
No, we weren't. We also forgot Casey when we did shout outs too.
No, that's the joke. Go ahead, Casey.
Shut up to not enough time on the weekends. Don't have enough time to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
Shut up to everything, like not everything, but half of what I need being out of stock in IKEA in like every single IKEA, and not just the IKEA in Baltimore.
Yeah.
So yeah, that sucks. And this is going to be unpopular, but shut up to the end of Schitt's Creek, because I really like that show, and I felt that the end fell extremely flat.
Hot
And it just did. Yeah, it was a little disappointing. And I feel like only one character or two characters experienced any growth. Yeah, it was not good. The end.
Interesting. All right, that has been showed up. Oh, all right, the app crashed again. So there we go.
Shut up, faulty app.
Yeah. All right, guys. So here's my proposition, because Brian, you are now on a schedule in which you can get off of work earlier than not late. Yes. So we can start recording some additional content. Is that something we would agree to?
I would agree to it.
Right. And as we discovered, the full motion picture length picture, My Science Project, is available on YouTube. The Disney property known as My Science Project. Can we do a CTB Presents recording? Let's say election night.
I'm going to be watching the news on election. I'm going to be busy.
Oh, okay. How about the day after? I don't know. Sometime this week.
I agree to it.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
All right. The bottom line is extra content means more eyeballs and more earballs and maybe some Venmo dollars. At City of the Braid, send us some money. All right. This has been episode 335 of the CTB Show. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for being a friend. Thank you very much for being a fan. And if you're watching on YouTube, extra thank you, because you're one of two people.
Yes.
Have a great day. And a better tomorrow.
We out.